In a van build, your first cuts into your van are like a rite of passage. It's usually one of the first things someone does in their van build, but it can also be terrifying. I mean, you're taking a blade and a power tool and making a giant hole in your brand new $40,000 vehicle. No pressure. Not to mention all of the options of fans you have. What kind do you want? Do you want one or two? Where are you gonna put it? So many questions. But I may know someone who can help with that. Competitors, there are 5 answers on the board. Name a type of fan someone may use in a camper conversion. The Fantastic Fan. It's not my personal favorite, as you have to buy an extra rain cover, and if you don't, you can't use it in the rain, and that cover then has to stay on the roof, and it's kind of tall and inconvenient, so not my favorite, but the Fantastic Fan. Fantastic Fan, is it on the board? All right. The Maxxair Fan domes. They're budget options, they're small. I've even seen people put them underneath roof racks to save space. Maxxair Fan domes. Just a fan. You know, you just attach a fan and then maybe you could put it near a window. It could create circulation. It's movable, which is nice as well. So just a regular fan. It's cheap, affordable, budget option. All right, just a fan. And it's on the board. All right. The Maxxair Fan. The Maxxair Fan. It's not the budget-friendly one. It's definitely expensive, but it definitely has the best ability to push through air. It's the strongest one, and great circulation. The Maxxair Fan. Maxxair Fan. All right, and there is just one left here today. Let's turn to Vanna White, or rather a white van, but you know, same difference, to see our final answer. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It has been another great episode of Fan Feud. There are 5 different options for varieties of types and budgets when it comes to picking a fan.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
No need to panic, younglings. I have some research that may help. No lightsabers needed. Is that too far? Am I allowed to make jokes about that reference? For my van, I chose the Maxxair Fan. It is the most widely used and favored among van lifers and van builders. However, it's also known for having common circuit board issues, but I researched this and how to prevent it since mine broke last time too, and we'll discuss this and prevention tips in another video that I'll link in the description. My fan is from RVPARTSTOGO.com. They are the ones who sent me this fan, but this is the exact fan I actually had in my last van as well for 3 years, and I was really happy with it. At the end of the day, a lot of van build decisions come down to space efficiency. Not do you want 2 fans, but will 2 fans fit? How can you efficiently and effectively use your space? Here is my current sketch for my roof at the moment. I drew it in my journal for my Grunkle Stan. When I pick a spot, I need to account for hangover space on the back of the Maxxair Fan. I may be cutting a 14x14 hole, but the fan has a longer lip on the back. If this bothers you, there are fans without that lip, so you can take up less space, but just be sure to account for this. When it comes to position, I also want to think about my layout. A lot of people like to put it above their bed or above where they cook. This is part of the reason some people have 2, so they don't have to choose. Also, if you have a roof rack, account for where the cross beams are. Mine from my Orion rack are fully customizable, so I can place them wherever. Also, this was a great idea by a YouTube channel called Camp Cramped, where they installed the fan in the back door. It not only saves roof space, but also they did this because it's not permanent, as replacing a window is a lot simpler than replacing a hole in the roof. People often choose to use 2 fans so that one can intake air while the other is expelling the air. It helps push air and rotate the air throughout the van, which is very important. However, keep in mind the second fan doesn't need to be the same type as the first, and for me and many others, we chose to have our second air source not be a fan at all. I really love skylights, and in my last van and in this current van build, my skylight will be my second source of air. I also could do an opening window on the side of my van, which I actually hear circulates air better than the skylight, but either way, the fan works best when it has a second opening in the van of some kind. So, what will it be? Fan or no fan? When I laugh, it gets a little lump. Wait. But on a serious note, I really don't recommend not having a fan or a way for air to circulate. I've been living in this van for 3 months without any fans, without any circulation, not cracking the windows at night for safety reasons. and I can feel the difference. One, when I was sick, that air is not circulating, so I was just breathing in my own sick air, which is gross and not helping me feel better or gets, you know, unsick faster. Unsick. When it comes to moisture and condensation, things that will bring mold into your vehicle, air circulation is also really important for that as well. If you do get mold in your vehicle and you don't have good air circulation, like, you're also going to then be breathing that mold in even worse. There are just so many reasons having good air circulation is good for your health when living in a small metal box. It also just helps smells, whether that's your food, good or bad smells. Like, if you have a composting toilet in here and you don't have good air circulation, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know what I mean? So, really important. I really do not recommend ever choosing to not have a fan as someone who's been living without a fan for 3 months. Also, I have noticed since moving back into this van not having circulation in comparison to my last van, my face, like my skin, is not doing well. Like, I get a lot of pimples since moving into the van, and I think that has to do with just not having good air circulation and just being in here all the time without having the doors open. And that's my excuse as to why I have a giant pimple on my face right now. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
And here is a list of everything you will need to complete this project.
I just want to take a quick moment to talk about this video's sponsor, RVPARTSTOGO.com. They are a business located in Canada that sells literally everything you could ever need for camping, RVing, van life, you name it. They sent me this Maxxair fan, and it got to me so fast that I actually had received the fan before I'd even bought the van. I've had this for so long. They even sell the self-leveling lap sealant and beetle tape that you need for this project, so you can kind of make it a one-stop shop for everything you need to put in your Maxxair fan. They have pet vests, camping chairs, safes, propane lids, clothing lines, light bulbs, fuses, wires, tent pegs. They genuinely have everything.
And on a side note, when you open this box, be careful with all the contents, because they actually give you a piece of cardboard that is the perfect size to draw your template on, and it's wrapped in a bag that is a great size to tape to your ceiling to catch all of the metal shavings. Now let's review some common installation and usage mistakes from my first installation, since plenty went wrong. And I may have had to replace my last fan's circuit board twice.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder.
Rude.
Yeah, honestly, I get why it fears me, but I did some research to make sure everything goes right this time around. And just a reminder, I'm not a professional, just a goofball making videos, but if you want to learn to build a van step by step from professionals, check out the link in the description for VanLife Academy. It's 50% off right now.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, does.
So I tried to make a 2x2 frame for the fan. At the time, most of the YouTube tutorials claimed you need it, even though the directions from the manual of Maxxair don't. I tried to make one and it was the ugliest thing I've ever made, completely wonky. Needless to say, I did not end up using it, and my van was fine for 3 years. This never leaked, never was a concern. So this time around, I decided not to waste my time or money on the wood frame. I also think those $80 adapters are a complete ripoff and money grab. Beetle tape will do the job just fine and has been consistent, and no one has had problems with it. I think people are over designing their vans, and these two things are absolute cases of that. But if you disagree, absolutely feel free to argue with me in the comments. Mistake number 2 is that I broke a jigsaw blade with half an inch left to go and had no spare blades. Luckily then I was at my parents' house building and could take my mom's car to Lowe's to buy another, but this time I'll have numerous backups because I will be building alone in the desert, and driving to Lowe's with a hole in my roof seems like a nightmare.
Going through a crisis right now because I put this stuff on my roof to start with like a week ago, and now it's been like a full week and it's still not dry. So here I am just crying.
So mistake number 3 was not understanding patience when it comes to the cure time of lap sealant. It is so long. However, I was worried about a rainstorm coming. However, just because it's not fully solid and it's still really gushy, it will survive the rain. It happened to me and it was totally fine.
So things are about to go very wrong or very right, and I figured, you know, let's hope for the best. So I have all of my different connections done for my wiring now, but I'm just so scared. So I only put in the fan. I put in the 5 amp fuse. Everything is in. I have it plugged into my Goal Zero. I'm gonna press the 12 volt now. If everything blows up, I'm gonna cry. It was super exciting. And then, you know, so there's always like a high and then there's a low and like everything I do in this fan build. So the low is
the buttons don't work. So this was more of a problem than it was a mistake that I personally made. However, people do recommend that you test out the battery before you install it. I actually had tested this one out, however, I did not test out the buttons, and that was probably where the mistake was. But overall, this was a very easy fix before or after, so really not a problem either way. So this is me after living in my van for 2 years when the fan suddenly went berserk and wouldn't turn on. This is a fairly common condensation issue because they do not protect the circuit board in this design, so when moisture drips down the fan, it goes onto the circuit board, and if you're like me and many others, you'll have to replace it. But it's actually fairly easy. You just need some wire cutters, 2 butt connectors, and a heat gun. However, the fan is only under warranty for so long, so if it breaks out of warranty, you have to buy the circuit board yourself, even though it's really an issue of poor design on their part. Hence why we are going to try to prevent this before it happens this time. So I'm going to be making a separate video once the materials I need come in the mail, and I'll link that in the description. For now, let's get back to building today and beat this Maxxair fan's butt with how perfect this installation is going to be this time around.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
So step 1 is to make a template and verify that what I drew in my sketch will work with the rib locations in my van. To make my template, I used this large piece of cardboard that was included in the Maxxair Fan box and traced the inside of the flange. However, note that if you make your template this way too, when you have to insert this fan into this roof, the whole part of the flange has to fit into the hole you cut, and your template does not include that portion, so take account for that when you make the cut. I decided to keep my fan exactly where it was in my last camper van conversion since my layout is basically the same, and I found this location was great because it's almost above my bed and almost above the cooking area, so it's able to create airflow to both spots. Thinking about your shower and bathroom location are smart as well, especially for those with showers needing to remove moisture from the air, and if you have a cat, maybe you want to think about where the litter box will be as well. My skylight, which will act as my second opening to help circulate air, will be located in the back right corner above the bed. A few reasons I opted for a skylight over a second fan is partly diversity, as the skylight can add to the features in the van. Not only will it allow more natural light in the van, it also has a better suction and insulation when closed. I can put a fan on the skylight to circulate that air better, and it doubles as an escape hatch, a viewing point to see what's going on around you instantly, and a quick access to the roof to clean your solar panels or to sit and have a pretty mountain view without needing a ladder. But while this is unlike the Maxxair Fan that it cannot be opened during the rain, I still have no regrets on going for a skylight over a second fan. I just remembered my mattress. Shit. No! Well, that's my bed tonight, guys. Don't worry, it's just an air mattress on top of thorns. It's probably fine. So 30-mile-per-hour winds came out of literally nowhere, so it looks like we're gonna have to postpone this build day. It looks like the fog from the Hunger Games is like rolling in. You know, the one that like paralyzes them and then they get attacked by monkeys? Is that what's happening right now? Is that sand that's gonna all go in my van? Yay, building in the desert! It's getting closer.
One week later.
In part 2, we'll go through the install process step by step and break down exactly what you need to know to make your install a success. I'll see you there.